Hey guys, and welcome to the TCC podcast, where we discuss everything coffee.
Hey guys, Stefan here,
And Theo LaRue.
and today's topic is processes.
Processes. I love coffee processes.
And it's a very important part because that determines a lot of the flavors that you get out of the coffee.
100%. So just before we run into today's topic, of course, we're just going to discuss two little things. First thing, you will hear that there is some background noise today. So we are sitting fairly close to the mic, specifically
Especially me.
Yeah, especially Stefan with his very low bass volume. And so we are sitting at Capo Cafe Coffee Bar. The founders of Capo Cafe Coffee Bar is myself and my wife Melissa. And if you guys want to check us out, we don't have a website. Well, we have a website, but it's not live. But you can check us out on social media. We just decided we're going to come and sit here today and discuss processes.
Yes.
Then the coffee that we are drinking,
A very nice one.
for the guys watching us on YouTube,
It's Ethiopia Yirgacheffe Grade 1.
grade 2.
Oh, is that 2?
Yeah, grade
okay,
2.
Sorry, that's
That was So it is a grade 2.
Okay, grade 2.
It is a coffee from Capo Cafe. And the reason why we are drinking this coffee today is kind of to discuss, the topic at hand. And just how important certain elements of coffee is. Now, the coffee we're drinking, Ethiopia country, Yirgacheffe region,
Yeah.
Arabica species. Now, in Yirgacheffe, there's a lot of places that grow and process coffee. And this specific one, we don't actually know who the processors of the process was.
So there's no traceability on this.
Yeah, there's no
on this
traceability.
coffee.
So the South African green coffee importers just buy a whole bunch of obviously commercial and high commercial type of coffees. Now, this specific one was graded at an 82 points.
Oh, nice.
So it is a fairly high specialty coffee.
Yes.
Now, it's not a fantastic specialty coffee, but it was roasted perfect, 1 minute and 35 seconds after first crack. So it's very,
Nice.
very
Yeah,
light.
so it's a light roast.
And the
Okay.
reason is it's a lot of grenadella, a lot of grapefruit, or for you guys
Yeah.
out there, passion fruit. So passion fruit, grapefruit.
Yes.
Sorry, because the grenadella is not always known everywhere in the world. And then vanilla tones.
Vanilla.
Some green apple and vanilla, which makes it taste like flat cream soda.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you can taste it straight off.
Yes,
you get
it's so
you-
vivid in your
you-
mouth.
You get it straight off as a
Oh,
flat
I
cream
just
soda.
love it. I just
So
love
this
it.
is amazing coffee.
So I haven't had cream soda in 20 years. So this is the only memory that I have of cream soda. Is this fantastic coffee? Now, some information about the coffee would be that it was harvested between November and Jan. It was grown 1800 to 1900 meters above sea level.
Okay.
We know that. We know that it had about 1800 millimeters of rain for the year in that region. We know that it's a heirloom variety.
Okay.
And we know that it's a wash process. But that's
Okay,
basically all the traceability that we have.
Okay.
So we had to play with the coffee.
All right. Well, you've got an amazing roaster. His
Yeah,
name
the-
is Sean Klute.
Yeah, Roast of Earth, phenomenal roaster. He
Yes.
always brings fantastic flavors out of the coffee.
Yes. His
So-
handles on
Instagram?
is the Roasting Barista and Roast of Earth Coffee.
That's correct.
So you guys can go and check him out. Awesome guy and great roaster.
Oh, phenomenal roaster. There's a reason why he's the only guy that roasts my coffee.
Yes, definitely.
Yes, to the topic.
So while we're here, this coffee is washed. You said fully washed?
Yeah, it's a fully washed,
Fully washed. Okay, so
which is the first process we were discussing.
yeah, so fully washed is a process that people liked more. It's a process that's more out
It's
there.
more familiar, yes.
Familiar. So for me that I've seen is fully washed is always the first one we pick up as a process.
Correct.
And
Most people actually do fully washed,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure if you know why.
Is it because it's shorter time period when
It dries really quickly. Yes.
So your time from when you pick it until you get it as green coffee, it's a shorter time than like say natural or yellow honey or black honey or red honey, which are the other processes.
Correct.
And then you get carbonic maceration.
That's it.
You get the anaerobic and the aerobic.
There we go. Different process we can follow in. Hey guys, and Stefan is getting he's getting this whole research thing under the knee, man. He's killing this information.
Getting there slowly.
I love it. For me, it is so exciting to see a person who doesn't even work in coffee so passionate about coffee. Now, we have to say, even though he's not working in coffee as of yet, he will very, very soon be going into coffee full time, which we are very, very excited about because he's so passionate as a person who works in the medical industry. But I mean, he's got so much connections, so we want to keep him there for a little bit longer just to keep the. No, I'm joking. We'll definitely bring you. We have to bring this guy into coffee, but he's learning so fast and so much so fast, especially for trading coffee coin, that I have to say I'm well impressed and well. Respect, man. Respect.
Thanks.
Growing your knowledge so quickly in an industry that is. I mean, obviously you love coffee, but learning a lot of information is tough.
Yeah, and the thing is, when I thought I knew, when I thought I want to go into coffee, it started to go. My thoughts were in that direction, and I met you. I was like, I know absolute zero of coffee.
Well, when I got into coffee, I also thought I knew quite a bit, and then I realized I knew nothing. And so.
But now we're here. We are learning with you guys, and we're and it's a process.
That's it. We've joined all of you guys as listeners in the journey towards discovering coffee. So when we throw research out or history out or our personal perspective out there, to share it with you guys, it is purely because it's personal experience and it's what we research. We don't know everything. So if you have extra information on any topic that we speak on, please
let us know.
Send it to us.
Yeah. And then we can go and research, and we can speak about something that we've done research about. And if we are not correct, then tell us what is the right way.
Yes, please. We want to know
if there is a right way. So
if there is. I mean, even if you have a different perspective.
Yeah, definitely. And in coffee, anything goes.
Well, for now, yes. I think that's probably why this whole thing is why we started trading coffee coin. Yes, it's for the new standard.
Yeah, and I think what we want to do is at the end of the day, so for now everything goes, and we want to channel it a bit, taper it down to the more specific stuff that
having a foundation.
Yeah, that we know is great. It works, and it brings the best out of the coffee.
Right.
And that's what we want. The best out of the
brings
coffee.
Value, not just to the drinker, for you guys on YouTube, but actually bring value to the farmer as well.
Definitely, and that's what we're all about.
That's what we're all about. Yeah. So I think let's jump into some of the process. Now, for you guys on YouTube, maybe you guys on the podcast, you can hear the coffee. For you guys watching on YouTube, who likes watching things while you listen, we have a bucket here with a whole bunch of different coffee inside. So we have some naturals in here, we have some yellow honeys in here, we definitely have some fully washes in here.
So you have a black honey in there.
I've got one black honey. There it is. You can actually see the black honey.
Oh, that's nice.
It's very, very black for you guys on YouTube. I'm not sure if you can see it on my hand. I'll take some pictures, which I'll edit into the video as well, maybe.
That's a nice one.
We've got some red honey in here. And so my personal experience with different processes. Now, just to mention them, you've got your fully wash, then you get your semi-washed. And again, this is the information we have. If you have more info on this, please send it to us. We are so open to learning more. We don't know it all. So we've got the fully wash, which obviously sometimes in Kenya they do a double wash process. So they wash it, they ferment it, then they wash it, then they ferment it a bit more in water for all the microorganisms to eat the sugar. Then they do a second full wash on it. So they literally wash all of the flavor, the poop in the poo, the amino acids, everything they wash off. to have a coffee with no sugar that dries anything between 5 and 15 days, depending on where they are.
Okay, so for them it's to make the process
Very fast.
very fast.
They want to get the coffee out because they need cash to come in.
Okay, I understand.
Most commercial coffees only do fully washed coffee, and some of them do the double wash.
All right.
But they make sure that it dries quickly.
And
they want cash in their hand.
So besides the fast drying and the cash, get cash quickly, what's the difference between a double wash and a
I love the fact that you asked that.
A normal fully washed.
So
is the significant difference between
the Kenyans believes that there is.
Okay.
So when going into the first fermentation, once they do a small fermentation, I think it's normally like 5 to 10 hours, they ferment it. You obviously get some microorganisms that eat, and then the sugars, and then they poop and poo.
Okay.
Then some of that flavor then pulls into the actual coffee bean.
Into the bean. Okay.
To create beautiful acidity.
All right.
Then they wash it the first time. Then they do a second wash to make sure that all of the sugar on the outside comes off very, very quickly, so that they can get it dry really nice and very quick.
Okay.
And so it leaves a very winey acidity.
All right.
For one, but second, it leaves them that very, very clear, very, very bright flavors, and it dries really quickly. So fully washed coffees, on my personal experience, is a very bright, very vibrant, very clean, distinct terroir flavor. So you actually taste most of the flavors that actually comes from the soil itself. So the region that the coffee grows in.
Okay, so like we spoke about earlier, is that the plants and things around the coffee trees influence the flavors.
Right.
So will you dare, if you have something there specific, like let's say macadamia nuts or whatever, will you more distinctively taste that in that the double wash?
Yes. I'm sure to a certain degree, but what I know, you taste
back to the fruit side.
Yes.
Depends on your roasting.
Correct. Yeah. If you're obviously roasting it to Chevrisse, dark, double crack, full city French roast, very dark, I'm sure you're not going to taste much.
No.
But on your light to medium roast, I know that you can pick up on a lot of elements, of the environment. Let's say the chilies or the nuts or the tobacco. But what you do pick up very vibrantly and very vividly is which origins, which we discussed in the previous episodes.
Yes.
So on the origins, let's say this is a South American type of coffee, you're going to be picking up on the nuttiness, the tree trunk, that woodiness type of elements. Or if it's an Africa coffee, you're going to be picking up on that earthiness, that a lot of sugar elements, fruities, and so on and so forth. So the terroir in the fully washed comes out much more vibrantly. But it's not a very sweet coffee. And it also roasts really easy.
No, because there's not a lot of sugar to caramelize.
Right, and also water-wise, the moisture content is easier to balance. It dries out easier in the roaster itself. You've got slightly more consistency in roast.
Is that also maybe a reason why roasters might prefer a fully washed?
It could be. Actually, a very good question to maybe ask some roasters when we interview a few of them.
That's I think that's a valid question around.
Oh, definitely.
Because it's easier. It's easier and more. You can get it more consistently because of the less of the water.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then of course we've got the semi-wash. Semi-wash I think is mostly used for yellow honey coffees. So it's a coffee that you throw through the pulper with water. So you pulp it with water, but you almost just kind of rinse most of the sugar off. Take it from there straight to the drying bed.
All right. So
it goes up and then it dries.
So that's what I call a yellow honey.
Correct.
Semi-wash.
So it's almost got like this yellowish or whitish color to it. Not like a fully washed, slightly darker than a fully washed, but dark enough that you can distinguish between the fully washed and the semi-washed. Well, from my experience anyway. If you're a processor out there and you're listening to this, please, if there's a more distinct definition, I would
Let us
love
know,
to
yes.
learn.
Yeah, that would be great if there's more information around
Definitely.
semi-washed yellow honey type
Yes.
of processing.
Because I know some guys are like, no, there's a yellow honey and a white honey, yellow honey, red honey, orange honey. Then there's the golden honey and then the black honey. And I'm going, whoa, okay, I'm just going to stick to 3 of them because now it gets too complicated for me.
Yeah, but it would be great to know if there's really a big difference between the different honeys that they say is out there.
Exactly. I mean, if we go out to a coffee farm, we want to take them information that could help them create more value.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
Again, we don't know everything.
Yeah.
So if you've got information, please tell us because we want to help the farmers.
Yeah, definitely. And if the more
Or the
info,
processors.
the more info we get, we can send it through to them.
We can share.
And
That's
they can look at it.
That's it.
And decide if they want to do it or not. Okay, so next one.
That would be the red honey.
The red honey.
Now, red honey for me, my ultimate favorite coffee probably out there.
Okay.
Now, once you get to the red honey, I know we would normally do a natural pulped.
Yeah.
So we don't use water to pulp the coffee when it goes through the
ones that we did from the tree, from your tree, yeah.
Right, yes, it's the ones that we grew here locally.
Yes. Okay.
So what we would do then is we would pulp them either by hand or through a pulper.
Okay.
No water. You would then take them, and that's where you would kind of start playing with different fermentation processes to create, more flavors.
Yes.
So then you will do normally one of 2 types of fermentation processes. That would be the anaerobic or the aerobic. Now, anaerobic, of course, you take your red honey, you top it up with water to just top the water above the coffee.
Okay.
And you'll then leave it for anything between 30 and some guys up to 120 hours for the microorganisms to come in, eat all of the sugar, and turn the whole bucket of water into this sludgy, honey-like texture that is amino acids through and through and through.
Okay.
But it doesn't become very sticky. So then you get like this, from there, after the amount of hours, you would then from the anaerobic go to the drying beds. Then to dry, it takes slightly longer than the yellow honey and the fully wash, of course, because there's sugars involved. Then you get the second fermentation, which is the aerobic.
Yeah.
We would do exactly the same, except you won't top it up with water. So now
do you just leave it so that it ferments?
That's it. So you leave it in the bucket or in whichever
in its own.
mechanism
I won't
you
say
use.
flesh, but in its own.
In the mucilage. Yeah, that's the right word.
There
yes.
we go. You see.
That's it. So you would leave it in the mucilage, and then microorganisms goes bonkers, man.
Because
then cats go into a hyperdrive and they eat sugar like crazy, and it becomes
because there's no water
sticky. That's separating them.
So the fermentation is a bit more, if I can say it,
pedantic. Specific. I don't know which word you wanted to
something like
use.
that. Yeah, I just want to between the two. So between aerobic and anaerobic, I think each of them's got their own qualities. But I think if you know the aerobic, you might go for some specific varieties, specific coffees in certain regions.
For me, anything with a lot of sugar, Caturra, Bourbon, Maragogipe, Pacamara.
Yes.
Something with a lot of sugar, I want aerobic.
Okay, because of the whole process around
there's so much sugar that you want to give the microorganisms the opportunity to go nuts.
and then you get some awesome flavors out of that.
Yes. Okay. And then with the anaerobic, I prefer to rather do something that's got less sugar. Catois, like yellow process, like yellow Bourbon, yellow Catois, even yellow Pacamara, stuff that's got slightly less Brix levels. Because then you've got the water to actually pull into the coffee and take the flavor with.
I see.
But that, again, that's on personal experience. So that's what I've been experimenting with the last 3 to 4 years on the farms. Just playing around, trying to see how I can make coffee delicious.
Just a quick one, because we are part of Mpunjati.
Yes.
Are they also doing some fermentation processes?
Yes, they used to only do the fully wash and the honey process, the semi-washed.
Okay.
Because they didn't know much about it, and then they tried natural,
Yeah.
which we'll get to natural now. But then once it dried out, they didn't have a dehusker, a mill,
Okay.
to actually take the parchment and the dry skin off.
Okay. So
Because they ordered one just before COVID,
no.
and it had to then go through this whole process to come from India,
Yes.
and so they had to store it for
Yeah.
quite a long time after it was dried, and then try and mill some of it by hand.
that's a lot of work.
I think they tried like 2 kilograms, and they were like, this is going to take forever. So they just
Yeah.
stored it until the mill got here.
Okay, nice.
And
Okay.
so as soon as it got here, they obviously put it through the parchment remover,
Yes.
and it came out delicious, because then they stored it inside the actual coffee cherry, the dry cascara,
Okay.
the cherry skin.
Yes.
And so it almost kept like this perfect balance of moisture and flavor for much longer.
So there's another experiment that
There's an
that
experiment.
somebody might try to out there.
We can maybe store coffee in cascara, but again, in a processing
Yes.
bay or a processing plant for
Yes.
much longer for it to dry out.
And then maybe we'll get something different out there.
I don't know.
In the future. You
Yeah,
know,
we'll have to
you never know.
experiment, man.
So
Like
that's
exciting,
awesome.
exciting.
Then next one is the honey process.
Yeah, well, the black-
sorry,
the black
sorry,
honey.
Black honey, yeah.
Now, black honey, I've only done twice.
Okay.
And my experience with it was very, very hard. When I did some research, I found that a lot of guys try and pick their coffee cherry
Yeah.
off the tree with almost like when your cherry starts turning into like a raisin. So
Oh, yeah,
as the
so
cherry
as it
skin
starts drying out, okay.
they pick it and then they pulp it. So when they pulp it, the mucilage already started becoming sticky
Okay.
inside the skin.
All right.
They would then pulp that. Now,
Okay.
whether again this is right or wrong, I don't know. I was struggling to get information about black honey because there's so little people that do it. Now, I
Yes.
know that in India or certain places, there's quite a bit of people that have tried it and been very successful with it, but they don't share a lot of information.
But it's also a process that I haven't seen a lot on.
It's not available
Yeah,
widely.
available.
Yes, it's
So
actually very, very scarce.
when I go through some feed and stuff, I don't see a lot of people that says, "Oh no, we got a black honey" or something.
Right.
It's always a yellow honey or a natural or
Yeah.
a red honeys. I also don't see a lot.
Well, red honeys, there's a
Well,
few, but they
I-
become very, very expensive. I think
Okay.
that's why they're slightly less available. But there actually is quite a bit of them,
Okay.
especially in Europe.
Okay.
And in places like Dubai, I know there's a lot of red honeys
Okay.
and black honeys, because they buy everything out. Again,
Yes.
they've got some cash to throw around.
Okay.
But
well,
personally, in
well,
South Africa,
obviously, yes.
I've only seen one company that's done a black honey.
Okay.
And well, that's roasted a black honey.
Yeah.
And then I know about my experiments
Okay.
that I've played with. My personal black honey that I would do is a natural pulped, so no
Yes.
water. I would ferment anaerobic,
Yes.
aerobic.
Yeah.
I would then put it out. Sorry guys, there's a bit of a trolley noise here. I'm just gonna kind of, just for you guys on the sound. There we go. So I would do an aerobic.
Yes.
I would then take it out, put it onto the African raised drying beds.
Okay.
And I would, instead of flipping the coffee over to dry, equal,
Yeah. Both sides basically.
I would try and turn it in such a way that it stays clogged together.
Okay.
Just
so
to
sticking
dry it.
together.
Yes,
Okay.
so they can actually stick together.
Okay.
So now you've got this thick mucilage sludge
Yes.
that is very sticky already, sticking together, drying bulky or in chunks
Yes.
of coffee. So it doesn't dry very, I don't know what the
Evenly.
word is, evenly. There's the
Yes.
word I was looking for. It doesn't
Okay.
dry very even.
Yeah.
So it took
So-
me on my red honey process probably about 71 to 95 days
Sure.
to get it 100% dry, to the point where the water content or the moisture content was on 11 to
Yeah.
12.
So was that black or red honey?
That was black. So I would do a red honey
Oh, and
process, but then dry it black honey.
Okay.
And
I
that
see.
took me forever to dry. But
Yes.
my goodness,
Was it worth
you
it?
tasted it.
It was.
Remember,
It
it
was.
was worth every single
But
day of
yeah,
waiting.
I wanted to hear it from you. Was it worth it?
Oh my goodness, it was worth it. Now, would I want to do 200 kilograms of that?
Yes.
I don't know. My goodness, that's going to take
it's gonna take
forever.
time. Yeah. So-
I think the batch that we did was like, I think we did 1.5 kgs.
Okay.
We ended up with like 200 grams of coffee, dried coffee.
Yeah,
So it's
that's
very, very labor intensive.
Definitely,
Cost wise, not worth it.
Okay.
Unless you've got facility to help you with that.
Sounds great. Well, then
Otherwise, I wouldn't do it.
Then we're gonna have to look for facilities.
Right.
Okay, last one.
Last one before we
is
run out of time again.
The natural.
The natural process.
I like naturals because it's a sweet.
It's very sweet,
coffee.
especially if you do an immediate dry, so picked straight to the
Yes.
drying bed. Or you can do fermentation on it, anaerobic or aerobic,
Okay.
and then to the drying bed. But like you say, sweet and delicious, man.
And
Body.
Yes, and that's
That's why you like it.
That's also why I'm liking
That's
it.
why you like it.
I like the body.
It's body.
So, so for me, naturals, I like the naturals, but also